what we're doing here is we're going to be walking you guys through exactly how RJ runs his dispo process, listing the properties on InvestorLift, how he's talking to buyers. And I know that you guys see there's an extra face here, Mr. Steve Francis. You guys are probably wondering, who's this guy? So the rundown on Steve is that in 2023, the Closers Olympics, which RJ won, there was a second part to it. There wasn't just the acquisition side, but there was the disposition side as well, where they sold deals. And on the dispo side, Steve won by such an impressive amount. In 45 minutes, he sold 2 deals, $90,000 in assignment fees. So he is the king closer on the dispo side. So we have him here for some color commentary as well, adding his feedback on how he's talking to buyers, how he's framing things. That way, while RJ is on the phone with buyers and doing what he needs to do, he can focus on that, and we can just have a whole bunch of value to give you guys. But that's the name of the game. Just showing you guys exactly how to dispo, how to close, and same as usual.
Love having you here, Steve. Dude, when it was hilarious because, I win the Closers Olympics and everyone's like, you're the king closer. And it's like, I'm more like the king contract signer. I mean, Steve actually was like the closer. He's the guy that where the checks are written, right? I mean, would you end up selling like $90-something thousand?
And I think it was 92.5 is what it ended up shaking out to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty sick. I had the luxury of sitting back and hosting that day and just getting you to watch you do your thing. So now I got to do the same thing today, right? Now you're going to sit back and watch me. So
absolutely,
I got some pressure on me today.
Now it'll be good. I'm really excited, man. Because I've seen you close, on the front side before. And to be honest, like I really don't get to watch other people dispo. You know what I mean? It's just kind of me doing it all the time. So I'm excited to take some notes, man. I think everybody on here needs to take notes. And you're obviously the king closer for a reason, and I'm excited to see what happens today. Absolutely,
it, man.
Yeah, seriously. Like if you guys don't have pens or papers or something to take notes on, get that out. This isn't one of those webinars where it's like we're just going through a slide deck trying to sell you guys on something. This is just pure action. This is just value. That's what we want for this. We got no sales pitch, no special offer, nothing like that. We're just selling deals.
That's it. What we do all day, every day. I mean,
welcome to real estate.
That's what we do.
So RJ, if you want to start sharing your screen and show people how you get the property listed up and what you're what your mind's thinking.
The first thing that I want to cover is where did this property come from? Because this is important, right? And we have quite a few properties on here that we can call on. I don't want to get stuck on just one, but I am going to be focusing on a 5-property portfolio in Louisville, Kentucky. This was closed at the most recent closers formula. And it's a deal that means a lot to me personally. The gentleman that locked it up, Mike, this is his first ever deal. It's his first ever signed contract. He got it signed. Well, I said he sent the contract at the closure formula. It wasn't signed yet. We thought it was signed, but his lender, the seller's lender, he wanted him to review the contract, and he signed it on behalf of the seller. And it was like, no, you can't do that. So the seller just had his leg amputated, is highly motivated to sell these. These are tenant occupied properties. And our student who got this signed, it's his first ever deal. So there's a lot of like important people involved with this, right? Seller, amputated leg, JV partner, student, first ever deal. And we got it signed at the closure formula. So the contract just got signed. We only have an exterior picture of each property. So we don't have interior pictures because the seller, leg amputated, we want to get on it because it's time sensitive. We think it's a really good deal from a cash flow perspective. So we just blasted it out on InvestorLift today. I'll share my screen here in a second to show you the write-up. So we have address requests. We have property inquiries already. It's written up as Justin as the dispo manager. Justin has not fielded any calls. He has not called anybody. So this is as raw and real and as authentic as it gets right here. So let me share my screen, show you what we're looking at. Everybody can see that? Thumbs up if you can see that.
We can see it.
All right. So what we got here with just simple title portfolio of 5 rental properties in Louisville, Kentucky. We put one address down because you have to put an address in. And then the headline, this is a template that we use that we just change on every single one of our listings. Simple outline of what it is that we're looking to sell, right? So this is portfolio of 5 rental properties. We're asking $390,000 for all 5. City, Louisville, Kentucky, what county? All 5 are single family. 4 of the 5 properties are currently tenant occupied. The current cash flow is $4,060 a month, but the potential cash flow is $5,850. Okay, so I think that's important. There's equity and cash flow. For those of you that have listened to me for a while, don't sell a property as a rental because you didn't get a discount and there's no equity. That's not what we do. Our jobs as wholesalers to our end buyers is to provide equity and cash flow if it's going to be a rental. So we're providing that equity. We're just slightly above 70% of ARV all in on this. Okay. So we have the ARV on this set for $645,000. We're selling it at $390,000. And it does have, if you can get the rent up to market rent, a 1.5% rental, which is fairly decent for Louisville. I'm expecting a little bit of pushback where some old timers are going to say, I can get those at 2% rentals all day. So that's probably the pushback that we're going to hear from some of these. Then we broke down by the address, right? We just kind of labeled them 1, 2, 3, 4 bed bath count, square foot, and what they're rented out for, and whether or not they're Section 8. And then we had the vacant property. Okay, we're asking $10,000 non-refundable EMD. All right, and then the other problem with this is because 4 of the 5 are tenant occupied. Is that showings, right? That's going to be a problem because each one of them would have to be individually scheduled. So that's the other big hurdle that I'm gonna have to overcome is really sell the cash flow perspective of this and then kind of offer the walkthrough after we have an assigned assignment. So where I'm willing to negotiate on this would be the EMD being non-refundable. If someone is willing to come in at $390 or above, and they're willing to put $10,000 down pending a walkthrough, I'm willing to accept that because we don't have interior picks. So that's kind of the give that I'm willing to give on this deal. Steve, Liam, any questions? Or because I'm sharing, I don't have my chat up. Let me see this.
Nobody's chatting. Well,
All right.
I'll help field any chat or questions that people have and make sure they're brought to your attention.
Awesome. So the first thing I want to look here is inquiries. Now I've been seeing some of these come in through my email. That's where I pay attention. The majority of my inquiries coming in. A lot of these are just address requests. When you filled this one, interested, can you email details here? I am not going to email Troy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call Troy. I will check my internal notes. I do believe that what Justin did just to kind of expedite it for the sake of the webinar is if they requested something via email, he went ahead and emailed them. He just didn't place any phone calls. The other thing that I would notice about this is that this is a vetted buyer. So that means someone on InvestorLift has talked to this person, vetted them out, knows that they're a cash buyer, and also that is their legitimate phone number. So that's probably going to be, seeing as that one came across 2 minutes ago, that's probably going to be or an hour and 2 minutes ago. That's probably going to be my first phone call right there to Troy. Let's see what else we got here. We got Robert. He was asking, not willing to separate the properties. So what I believe this is going to be in regards to is maybe they don't want to take on that vacant, or there's one that's potentially on the west end that they don't want to take on. I don't want to separate these properties. But if we have to make the deal go down, I am willing to have that conversation with the seller, of course. Unfortunately, we don't have any offers yet. Wish we did. The other thing that I'm going to do is jump into Artemis mode. Now, this is, Steve, how in love are you with Artemis mode?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, it's the best, man. Those are the hottest leads, especially if you match the lead, right? He's on there again in Artemis mode. So he's the top that I'd say that's almost one of your hottest ones. You know what I mean?
Right. Here's Troy right here. He viewed all 5. We only have 5 images, one exterior pic of each property. He spent 3 minutes and 55 seconds. And then he said, hey, can you email me details? Now, what I want to show here, go back and I want to view the published deal. So I believe what we have on here is, let me see if we do or not. I believe that there is maybe not, maybe that's crazy. I thought there was a spreadsheet that they could download from here, but so I'm curious what questions he has. Maybe he doesn't know the full addresses on it. So I'm going to give Troy a call. The chat is so damn quiet. Why are y'all not talking? Do y'all want me to call this buyer? Someone better start chatting. There we go. There are people paying attention. All right, I was just making sure. I was like, damn, I mean, these people are bored already. By the way, this would be a $40,000 assignment. So, to give a story on Mike, and I hope Mike's in here today. He was going to the police academy, I believe, and had an injury to his arm and was not able to finish the police academy. So now this is what he is doing to support his family. So this would be life-changing for him if we were able to get this deal done. So I got a lot of motivation today to get this damn thing done. So let's jump into Artemis mode here. Let's give Troy a call and see what he's got to say about this. Hey, Troy, this is RJ Bates from Titanium Investments. How are you doing? Pretty good. Hey, man, I saw you requested some information about our 5-property portfolio there in Louisville. Just want to give you a shot to see if I can answer any questions that you have on it.
I don't have any questions. Are they trying to sell them all together, or will they sell this? Really, I'm just interested mainly in one of them. One of South 45th.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to say that I'm dead set on not separating them. Let me give you some background here on why we need to sell them together. The seller has fallen under some health problems. He just had a leg amputated. And so he needs to cash out so he can kind of, get his equity out of these properties. So I would prefer to sell them all as a portfolio because I just don't want to put him through the hassle of, doing it one at a time. But if it gets to the point where, I have to, then, that's something that we could explore. I mean, you don't have any interest in the entire portfolio there?
Yeah, just the other houses are just not on really favorable blocks, really. The one on the South 45th, that's just more of our area, more deeper in the West End.
Gotcha. Understood. Well, out of curiosity, the one on South 45th, how much would you be willing to offer on that one?
It's just hard to say. I would have to see it. I would see it first.
Okay. Well,
I feel you, man. You want to sell them all at one time, it's a package deal. If that doesn't work, if you're able to split them up, I would be possibly interested in taking a look at that.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I think I've gotten quite a bit of interest so far. You were just one of the ones that actually inquired, not just sent the address or sent an email. And so I wanted to give you a call and see where you were. I think I'm going to have to hit up these other ones and see. And if I get in a place where, we start separating them, then I'll give you a call back about the South 45th one and see if I can get you in there. Okay.
sir.
All right. Thank you, Troy. All right. Bye-bye.
Perfect. All right. RJ, people are saying that they're having some problems hearing the buyer. He does come through a little bit quiet. I don't know if it was just that buyer or if you got to get your phone closer.
Let me see if I can get it a little bit better of an angle. He was naturally quiet. So, all right. So if you see right there, what I'm doing is inside of Artemis mode, I'm leaving a note. So that way I'm only going to work dispositions on this during this webinar. This is going to get passed back off to Justin. So the point here is that internally we are communicating back and forth. So now he knows while he's working the dispositions on this, hey, Troy is the only one in the South 45th won't make an offer without walking the property. Was really hoping that I could at least get a number out of them, because then when I talk to other buyers, if they want to start separating, I mean, dude, I don't care if I send 5 assignments. All I care about is I get all 5 sold, right? So it's a little bit. This one right here, Taylor viewed the images, spent 5 minutes and 37 seconds. He added to his favorites. I like that.
Viewed it 9 times too.
Yeah.
And so RJ, Paul asked, will you double close if it's a $40,000 assignment?
No.
No.
We're selling 5 properties. I mean, they have to make an assumption that to be honest with you, I'd be making the assumption we're a minimum making 50,000. But
and then the question Scott has is, do you usually provide cap rates on your rental deals?
No.
I
hate cap rate. It's just so stupid. I hate it. If they want to know the cap rate, they got all the numbers. Go do your little mathematical equation over there yourself. What do you think about that, Steve?
Yeah, no, I think it's good. You're right. You have everything that you need. One of my kind of pet peeve, so to speak, is when they ask like, "Oh, can you send me additional information?" When we put everything on InvestorLift. So
like, there is no more.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's all I got. So I think you're right on that one. I sometimes, and it really hasn't helped me much or hurt me much, but sometimes if I look at the deal and if I can formulate a cap rate and it actually helps me sell it, then potentially I'll explore that. But it's on the onesie twosies, never. This one, the only reason I would say maybe is because it's 5, right? So that's kind of, you're getting in the commercial space potentially. So, but
the only reason why I don't like doing that is because it's one more unnecessary thing that we're providing to the buyer that could be an objection for them.
Absolutely.
Where, for example, if we were to say this is a 9 cap and they only buy 10 caps, but the objection, the way that we overcome that is well, it's not at full market rent. You could increase it to hit your cap rate. We don't want them to immediately not request the information, not view it just because they see us put something like 9 cap and then they view it for 30 seconds and delete it. That could be our buyer. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, same reason why we don't put repair estimates on here either. Absolutely. All right, I'm gonna call this Taylor guy.
All right. And then Scott also asked, what is Artemis mode in depth? So I'm gonna share my screen really quick and just show you in a very simple manner exactly what it is. So right here is the deal, right? This is where we're showing the walkthrough of getting the description written out and putting it out there. What this does.
Hi, is Taylor there?
We'll get back to this.
Hey, Taylor, this is RJ Bates gone from Titanium Investments. Looks like you were viewing my 5 property rental portfolio there in Louisville.
Yeah, this is actually RJ Bates.
It is.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Do you know me?
Yeah, I've seen you on YouTube a shit ton, bro.
That's cool. You want to buy some properties from me then?
No, it's funny, man. I got the email through InvestorLift. I actually was talking to Oliver last month, and I decided to pass on the deal. So I'm actually really just curious if you guys end up selling it. So I just asked for the info on it.
Gotcha. Why'd you end up passing on it?
One of the houses is just dilapidated.
Yeah.
So the amount of I don't think your ARV is off. I had it as a pretty high ARV. I was thinking about doing all of them myself, but the tenants are in there. They're not, he said he fixed them all up to the 9, even including the roof and all that stuff. And I don't know, there's a lot of stuff that was off about it. I think it's the whole project and all the properties just need a lot more work than he's really saying, especially the one that he said was going to turn into an Airbnb for his aunt, which is the one that's empty. So my guess is, and I didn't send anybody out there and get pictures done, so you guys probably got a little bit further in that process than I did, but the one that needs a lot of work, I think needs to be like stripped to the bone. So I think that it just was too much work for what he was asking, like what, 280?
No, he was asking more than that. Yeah.
He originally told me 280 and I turned him down at 280.
You turned him down at 280 for all 5?
Yeah.
Interesting. So, like, our thoughts on this were, well, our thoughts on it is like, hey, 4 out of the 5 are tenant occupied, and some of them are pretty low on the rent rate. They can actually go up. So that was kind of our thoughts is like, yeah, we understand the vacant one's going to need quite a bit of work, but you know, if you get the right person in there that's looking at it as like, hey, I could get the 4,000 up into the mid 5s on the rent rate, you know?
I hear you. I thought the same thing. I told you I was thinking about like just taking it down myself and flipping it and not like holding it. The problem is like it looks like they can be increased in rent, but if you do like a deeper dive on the market rent there, first off, the one that's a Section 8, good luck moving that one. That one's not changing. You'd have to go through the whole legal process to get them out. And then what other Section 8 properties are going for in that area, it's probably right around like what you're going to get for it for the current condition. So whoever's going to go in there and buy it is going to have to get all the tenants out and then completely fix it up. Because like I said he did all this work to them. I don't think he actually did. That was my concern. I was like, I think it needs all of them need more work than they're saying. And then the max rent on them is not that high. Because if you look at what the rentals are available in that area, sure, the comps, it should go higher. But if you look at what's actually renting in the area, a lot of the stuff that's renting at a decent pace and not sitting for a while is like $200 under the market rent that you guys came up with, which I wasn't far off from my number, but it just seemed like it was too far off. I was a little scared on it. I don't have as big of a buyer's list as you guys do, so I mean, if anybody can move it, you guys can. I just was really curious.
Gotcha. Well, I appreciate that, man. That's a lot of feedback there. Obviously, we're virtual to Louisville, so that's insightful. It'll help me, and hey, I'll definitely keep you in mind and reach out to you if we have a hard time getting this thing moved. Okay.
Yeah. I'm virtual too, man. So.
I got you. Well, I appreciate that, Taylor.
Absolutely. Thanks, RJ.
All right, bye-bye. Man, you know how many times that happens when I do dispositions? Is this really
How
RJ
often?
Bates?
You're like the only person I see that happen to. It's funny. Like I do live with a bunch of big names. Only happens with RJ.
Well,
hang on. Before you share your screen, I'm gonna finish what I was walking through here with just showing exactly what the Artemis mode is, so I can get Scott's question answered. So this is the deal published, and this is what you see on InvestorLift as the actual user. What that creates is this right here, this listing that any buyer on the platform can find. So now if they're looking for properties inside of Louisville, this will get recommended to them because it shows a bunch of properties that you can find. There's different ways people find it. But now what RJ's done is he went and created marketing campaigns for this. So he did these 2 blasts for emails where he sent about 10,000 emails out surrounding the deal. That way he's pushing traffic to this page right here. So now buyers, they're coming in, they're seeing this, they're clicking make an offer, they're clicking the photos and they're going through all these photos. They're doing all these different things. They're reading this. And the more time they spend on it, the more they do here. Maybe they'll come and say inquire, or they'll ask about getting financing. All this stuff rolls into Artemis mode, and it ranks and scores all the people coming through, right? So now you can see, for example, Taylor Weiss, they have a score of 323 because they went and viewed 4 images. They spent 6 minutes on the deal. They came to view the property. That's worth 9 points. So each of these are worth different points. The property address requested, all of this, then it adds up. So that way we know who's likely to be more interested. So we can call people who are most interested right out the gate. So we don't have to waste time just cold calling people. So that's the walkthrough.
Yeah, it makes dispo so much easier when you have all that data. You can definitely kind of snipe who you're talking to first, and goes a lot further for sure.
So the next one that I wanted to call, he asked about separating the properties, said he was interested, but the phone number, he is a vetted buyer, but it was a voice over IP phone number, and it's no longer valid. So we're gonna have to shoot him an email and tell him to give us a call. You want me to share my screen again?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So what I'm paying attention to here is the total score, and the time spent on here, especially just getting started. I want someone that is somewhat established. So like Tom, good buyer score, but didn't spend a lot of time, didn't even look at the pictures. So we'll hit him eventually, but not right out of the gates. Just like I do in acquisitions, I always want to be as efficient as I possibly can be. So I'm trying to find like who's the big buyer here that showed some interest. Everybody on this right now doesn't have a big buyer score, and it was actually kind of funny. I actually know a buddy of mine that I'm probably going to give a call in Louisville. He has a really small buyer score there as well. So I'm curious if there's just not been a lot of deals pushed out in Louisville. Is there a way for us to see how many deals have been pushed in Louisville, Liam?
Can you ask that question again? I was typing out an answer.
Is there a way for us to see how many deals have been pushed out in Louisville, Kentucky on InvestorLift?
Yeah, I mean, if you go to the buyer side, then you can go in through and see. I think they'll just show everything that's posted right now. I think on the admin side, I can probably pull up everything that's been posted forever there, but it'll be a bit of a pain.
All right, let me go back to our inquiries here. Realtor, cash buyer. Let's call Robert.
Hi, you've reached Robert Cooper. Leave me a message and I'll get back to you.
Hey, Robert, this is RJ Bates from Titanium Investments. Looks like you had just requested some information about our 5 property package there in Louisville, Kentucky. If you could give us a call back at 817-710-8689. Thank you.
Hey, RJ, real quick, I'm super curious. When you guys do your regular dispo process, are you calling every single one of these inquiries and then kind of building like a separate list from that for next time you guys hit Louisville?
So we're definitely, as soon as the inquiries come in, so the way our team is built out is the majority of their time is spent on dispositions. Because we have so many leads coming in from Speed Elite, Leadzola, and stuff like that. Acquisitions is relatively easy for us. The hard part about that is dispoing all across the country, right? So the majority of the time our team is spent on disposition. So anytime an address request, anytime there's an inquiry, we're immediately calling them. So the hard part for me coming in where this got sent out this morning is I'm staring at, a lot of address requests, a lot of inquiries that have come in throughout the day, where if I was the dispo manager and I was sitting down, as soon as I had sent that out, I would have been hitting any of the address request inquiries for the other properties and then instantly hitting them. And then if you don't have any, that's where you're going into Artemis mode and you're essentially stalking like, okay, who viewed this? What's their buyer score? How many images? How long did they take? That's what we're really working on. And then when we're stuck on something, that's when we're transitioning to God mode. finding the people that maybe haven't viewed it, and then last go into cartel mode and just essentially cold calling. But we have a setter that will do that for the closers.
Nice.
Joseph asked, and by the way, Joseph, you asked this question inside of the chat area. Make sure to ask questions in the Q&A panel, because that way it shows up and we can keep it all nice and organized and come back to it later. But your question was, can this be used for commercial properties, and are there commercial buyers on here? Absolutely. We have one team that's doing about $10 million a year in assignment fees, and they only do commercial. Commercial is a huge, huge part of this, commercial and multifamily. And then RJ, Scott's asking you, why would you push the entire portfolio as a single deal versus splitting them up and selling them individually?
Hello, you've reached Ian Hooper, licensed real estate agent with RE/MAX Premier Properties in Louisville, Kentucky. Please leave a detailed voicemail message or text 502-708-0923. 502-708-0923. Thank you. Have a nice day. Peace.
At the tone, please record your message.
I can't even believe that guy a voicemail. He made me listen to his phone number twice. I know your phone number. I called you. That's how I'm here listening to you right now. Come on, man. Come on.
That's when you leave a voicemail, put your voicemail twice. You know what I mean?
Right.
So not when you like have it. Yeah, that's funny.
All right. On that Q&A, the question was, why would I push it out as a portfolio? Well, one, I want to sell it as a portfolio. I don't want to separate it due to the seller's condition, right? I don't think that the sellers are going to be okay if we come back and we say we sold 4 out of 5. We know that the vacant property is the downside of this portfolio. So just like what Taylor just said. So I could very easily see us selling 4 tenant occupied properties and being left with the one that is his biggest pain point, right? So it's like, hey, this is what the seller wants. What is our job? Our job is to solve the seller's problem and then also provide cash flow and equity for our end buyers. So we feel like we have equity here. We feel like we have cash flow. We also need to make sure we're selling or solving our seller's problem. And that's, I think it will be more efficient for us to push it out as a portfolio, place the phone calls, because we're going to heavily work this. If we can't sell it as a portfolio, then we'll just separate them.
Like it. Then Scott said, what about dispoing mobile home and RV park? So you're saying, can you do it on the platform? Absolutely. You can also do that. Yeah, nice.
Actually, when you're blasting it out, you can also just blast it to people that are tagged commercial as well. So there are people that are tagged commercial you can blast this out to, so you can get it in front of the right people.
Hello, this is Max.
Hey, Max, this is RJ Bates from Titanium Investments. How are you?
Hey, I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Pretty good. Hey, man, I saw you requested the address on our 5-property portfolio there in Louisville, Kentucky. Just wanted to reach out to you and see if you had a chance to take a look at that and see what your thoughts were.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for calling me, RJ. I actually spoke to Justin, or I was texting him a little bit. I let him know. I just said, hey, one of the properties is actually in an area that we just don't do deals in. So I know you guys are selling this as a path of 5, and that's what he told me. So I said, hey, look, if you guys can, maybe chat about, moving this one in a different, in a different group, we can maybe work something out with the others. But if it's all together, it's not gonna end up working for us.
Which one's the one you don't want?
I gotta pull it up. I'm not in front of my computer right now. I'd have to let you know.
Was it the one on 20th?
Whichever one was in Russell. So if that's the one that's there, then yeah. But I don't have the address in front of me.
Okay, so I think I'm okay if you're interested in 4, then that's way different. Like I just talked to someone and he was interested in 1, right?
Okay.
That like one at a time, like that makes it a lot harder. But if you were to say, hey, I'm interested in these 4 and I won't take that one, well, then I can go dispo that one on its own as long as we can make the numbers make sense on the 4. So
Well, then I'll do that then. I'll crunch numbers for the 4. I would need obviously individual prices. So can I text the addresses that work for you and you put a price tag on them, or what were you thinking?
yeah, I could do that. Well, honestly, instead of playing that game, why don't you just tell me what you're willing to offer on those 4? And then I mean, you see our total, our asking price is 390. So you could kind of reverse engineer where we're coming up, where we need to be on that. And just eliminate that one. But mainly what I'll be looking at is if you can make me an offer that's good enough on the 4 that I feel confident that I can move the one that you're not taking. Even if I'm not profitable on that one, because I'm assuming the one that you're not wanting is the not good one. I mean, we know we're going in this. We know we got 4 good ones and 1 not good one. So
Sure.
as long as I'm getting enough out of the 4 where I can still move that to a potential buyer, because the seller situation is he has health problems, he has an amputated leg, he's got to get rid of all 5. So I still have to be able to move that one for him.
Right. I hear you. Yeah. I'll see what I can do on my end here, and I'll get back to you. I'll probably need till Monday just to give you a secure answer here, but I'll definitely work on this over the weekend and hit you back on Monday.
Okay. I'll probably have Justin hit you up on Monday. Actually, you said you've been texting back and forth with Matt or with Justin about that.
A little bit, yeah, yep, a little bit back and forth.
Okay, well then, yeah, just continue that conversation with Justin. I'll let him know that we talked and that you're going to come back with an offer on the 4 properties. Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah, sounds like a plan.
All right. Thank you, Max.
Yep. Thanks, RJ.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
You know what I love about that call, man? Is that I was waiting for you to do it and you did it. You high anchored him on the 4, because and that's one thing like I hope everybody paid attention to is that we have a certain price we're looking to sell all 5 for, right? And he's talked about piecing them together. Like, okay, well, give me individual prices. Well, I mean, you high anchored him. He said, hey, if I can get enough out of these 4, you know what I mean, to be able to move the other one, right? You're basically saying, hey, give me as close to that number that I'm already asking for all of these, so that I have a little bit of margin so I can move the 4th one. So that was cool.
Let me leave this note real quick. Max is going to make an offer on the 4 properties he is interested in. And again, to the question right before this, about, hey, why wouldn't you send them out as individuals? The other concern that you have is if you were to do that, is that he sees 1 and makes an offer on 1, and he doesn't see the other 3, right? And then you're having to, have that conversation. Let's put all of the information in a nice little bundle, and then you really hear what the objections they have are to the portfolio. And the other part of this is that in that scenario with the high anchor, like you're calling it, he knows that, and I also let him know like that. We know that that's a bad property. We know that that one's not worth a whole lot. We know that that's the problem. So if our price is 390 and he comes back and he offers us 300, he knows that ain't working.
Mm-hmm.
Like his offer's got to be somewhere around probably 360 to 370, to be honest with you. And so even in that scenario, if he were to offer us 370, we've just made $20,000 assignment fee on this, and we have another property that we could either keep or sell ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we go. So let's see, based on the call with the prior buyer, you can probably go back to the seller and renegotiate. The other buyer said seller would do 280. Yeah, I heard that. I mean, if he saw this at 280 and he says he agrees with our ARV of being in the mid 6s, I have a hard time believing that he really walked away from it over one property. What do you think, Steve? Didn't that sound like a wholesaler to me?
No, it did for sure. Yeah. Yeah, he really missed out. I mean, that's why you do what you do. That's why you are who you are, right? You're able to find these opportunities. And I mean, I think he missed out on one, or it really wasn't what he thought it was.
Yeah, I wasn't buying the whole he said 280 and you're walking away from.
What's up, man?
Bo, what's going on, man?
Just living life.
I got a 5 property portfolio package in your neck of the woods. Wanted to see if you want to take a look at this and
Is it in Louisville?
it is. Three are on 31st. And 4 of them are in 40211.
Okay.
3 are on 31st, one's on 20th and 40203, and then 1 is on 45th. 4 of the 5 are tenant occupied. We're getting $4,060 a month currently. Probably get in the mid 5s at market rent. And we're wanting to get $390 for it.
I think that's a stretch.
Okay. What do you think we could get it for?
Well, the reason it's a stretch is because of the area.
Okay.
I know it does hit the 1% rule, but that area, especially like the 20th Street house, that's a whole different ballgame of a neighborhood. But the 30th and the 45th Street is the best house just by area in that area. And the other ones, those 3 on the 30th Street or whatever, 31st Street or whatever that is, that's okay. But if they're like bungalow style homes on the 30th, and then the other one I'm sure is a bungalow style home in the 45th Street house, those are okay. But I'm assuming that those are fixed up. I would assume that those may be worth like maybe 100 a piece, maybe 100 on the market. It's hard to tell, but like the 20th Street, that's just a crapshoot because that area is not good. It is coming up, but it's not good. But which one's the vacant one?
The one on 20th.
Yeah. The rest of it, they're probably fine houses, I would assume, but I don't know. Are the other ones brick or sided?
Let me look up individual pictures of them. Let me pull those up real quick. First one siding, second one brick. Third one brick and siding. Fourth brick. Last one looks like a stone veneer.
Okay.
So we had set the ARV on it, and I feel like we're pretty good on this because other people have agreed with it. That the ARV was like $645 for the entire package.
If you individually sold them on their own, fixed up, I could agree with that.
Right.
The fixed up. However, this is a landlord's buying these.
Right.
You know what? It's just not a flip zone. I mean, some people are, don't get me wrong, but that 9 out of 10 properties in that area, you're going to sell to a landlord.
Right.
And so that landlord is going to want, like a higher return rate than.
Is that like a 2% rental zone?
Close. I mean, yeah, definitely. You can get 2 or 3% there just because, I buy houses for 10 grand there that I can rent for $1,200. This is the highest crime area in our city.
On the 20th or on the 45th?
45th it's its own. It's a whole different zone. Like that one area is called Shawnee Park area, and that is it's the outlier of the bad area. Like it's because it's getting closer to the river, but excluding that one, even that's not in a good area. It's still bad, but it's the best of the bad.
Gotcha.
But the rest are, it's just not a good area. So I'm not saying that to like down the deal. I'm just telling you it's definitely a doable deal, possibly. I just finding somebody who wants to spend the money, that's a whole different, it's just a different buyer than once you get west of 9th Street and kind of, if you look at that, if you're looking at it on a map, that upper west quadrant of the city, like north of, say, there's the Waterson Expressway that kind of goes as 265. It goes around that loop. So inside of the Waterson Expressway, all the way up to 64 or up to the river. If you're looking at a map there, that it kind of like a big.
Yeah, I'm
a big
looking at it.
area there. That where the Waterson is by Churchill Downs and it goes up and around, like inside of that area is the worst. And then the closer you get to the river on the outside, like by 45th Street, because 45th Street is on the west side of that highway, and the west side of that highway is a much better area of the bad area, but you can find some really nice homes. But the other houses are inside or on the highway or close to that highway. And that's when there become problems of crime and stuff like that. They're trying to do some initiatives inside there. It's a little neighborhood called the Russell neighborhood, which those houses, the 3 houses there on that street may fall in the Russell neighborhood, which if there's a benefit, that would be the benefit because there's a huge initiatives of reinvigorating that area. So that's a big help.
Well, I've been told by multiple people already that it is inside of the Russell.
Okay, that's positive. So that would be a positive thing there. The 20th Street house, I would, without even seeing these.
Don't let me forget to talk about the Russell and why I
the
just said
20th
that.
Street, I probably just on the in and wholesale price, I'm assuming it's like a shotgun style home, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, or 3-1, maybe possible second story, but maybe even be a 1-1, but that's a shotgun style area in by and large. And I probably, depending on its condition, if it were in okay condition, electric and water works, I would say a buy price would be, I don't know. I think that you can buy houses for 30 grand, 25, 30 grand in that neighborhood, depending, and it's probably a $80,000 house, 100,000, maybe if it's super nice, but you're not going to get that nice to make it a rental, right?
All right. So on this one on 20th, if I came to you and I said, hey, I need you to sell me this or sell this property on 20th, and it's a shithole. It's a 1,000 square foot. What do you think we could sell it for?
Say in 20s,
20s?
like
Okay.
20s to low 30s. And that
So
might
that's
be
why I
to
was saying earlier, my guy needs to come back at
investor that's not their
370.
main job, but maybe it's someone who's wanting to get in, like a Hispanic person or someone who's got like actually a bag of cash.
Gotcha. All right. Well,
But
let
no,
me.
investor. But the other ones, 45th is your best though. 45th is your best house, and that house could be an outlier, and that house could be worth, depending on its size, how many beds and baths and square footage, it will be your best property by far. If it's a bigger house, it's worth money.
Gotcha.
So those kind of houses are, if I could choose a street in the West End, I would choose 45th.
Gotcha. Well, that one's like 1,200 square foot. So
like 3-1, 1,200. Does it have a basement?
let me see if it has a basement.
Is it a brick bungalow?
It is brick. Yes.
Yeah, that's depending on its condition. I mean, it could be someone might flip that house. I'll tell you right now, like you could piece that off and sell that, and then someone could flip that, depending on your pricing, on your in price.
Right.
So that's a double-edged strategy house.
What do you think that one could sell for as a flip?
Oh man, that's such an outlier area. I mean, I would say mid to upper ones, depending on the houses around it. I mean, it might even. I've seen some in that area sell for 200 grand, which
Gotcha.
is crazy to me.
Right.
You know, I mean, 210. I mean, but depending, you know, on the house around, because the problem is like there could be a house next door that's vacant, the man and the crackheads are living in it.
Right. It looks like
Um,
both. It looks like all the houses surrounding it are in pretty good condition.
My assumption is it's not surrounded by crackheads. That's my assumption is it's not. But if it were, obviously, it
Right.
would not be great. But the other ones, they're good to decent. I would say 50, 60 entry prices are possibly a good wholesale buy on maybe 50 to 70, just depending, right? It's just, there's a lot of ifs, but
Right.
that could be hotels. I mean, those might be good hotel houses. Certainly the 45th house. I mean, if you can get it vacant, sell it on MLS, heck yeah, bro. Like I'm all about that.
Right. Well, I know it's in pretty decent condition. The seller has told us that he's put work in 4 of the 5. The only one he hasn't put work in is the one on 20th.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's why I was asking what if I have to, what do we think we could do for 20th? All right, 20 to 30K, we sell in the mid-20s. All right, well then let's see what we can do with these other ones. So
Yeah, I would be interested if is it a month-to-month lease on the 45th?
ooh, let me check on that.
Yeah, what are the lease terms
Yeah.
on all of these? I'd be interested in looking at them. I mean, just myself. I mean, because I just buy and sell in MLS. That's what I do. I mean, I wholesale too, but I mean, the best strategies for me is buying and selling on the MLS.
Right.
The only problem are these are like 50 minutes away from where I live because I live in horse country.
Gotcha. Well, let me do this. Let me send over all the information to you. Let me look up about the leases. Because this is one of my guys' deals, and so I don't have that right in front of me. But so let me look that up and I'll send it over to you, and then let me know on like Monday what you think about them, okay?
Sounds good, man.
All right, appreciate you, bro.
Thanks for the call.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
Bye. Okay, so on the Russell thing, when he brought that up, the reason why I said, hey, multiple people have told us that it's in Russell, is not because multiple people have told me that. What actually happened is Max, the guy who said that he was going to offer on 4 of them, the previous person I talked to, he was texting Justin because Justin said, hey, I think Max is the guy you should call first. I think he's our buyer. And then he said, never mind. He wants us to separate it because he doesn't buy property in the Russell, whatever the Russell is. So then when I called Max and he said, hey, I talked to Justin, but you didn't want to separate it. And then I say, hey, I'll separate it. And then what did I say? We need to be at like 370 with his offer. So then we can at least get our 20 out of this one. And then we talked to Bo, and what does Bo say? Mid-20s. So, and then the Russell part of that is, hey, all I need to hear from is one person, and now I'm the expert. I've heard it. Everyone's told me, hey, yeah, it's the Russell, man. Can't believe it's in the Russell. It sucks. I don't even know what that means, but whatever. That's how you navigate those conversations. Ain't nobody gonna question you, you know?
Did he say that it was almost better? Because I think this guy might have said that it was better because they're doing like revitalization in the Russell, right?
Yeah.
So it's cool to see the different perspectives of different buyers, right? You get one buyer say one thing, you talk to another one, and then boom, you know what I mean? It's now a good thing.
So basically what Bo is saying is, hey, the Russell area is coming up, right? Because they're going to revitalize it, but it still ain't there yet. And so Max said, we'll buy the 4, but we're not buying that 1. That's just, we're not going to go in there. We're not going to be part of that revitalization. We'll just reap the benefits later when, you know, it's safer. What is a shotgun area? So the shotgun, it's the style of house. So let me share so you understand what that looks like. This is common in places like Birmingham, Louisville, Jackson, Mississippi. That's a shotgun style house right there. I don't really know how to like properly describe it, but that's if you hear shotgun style house, that's what it looks like right there. typically they're very small square footage, and a lot of times they're 1 bedroom, 1 bath. Let's see here. Jonathan says, how much time to close do you give yourself with a package like this and the agreement? So on this, actually, I've got the agreement pulled up right here. We have a 30-day closing time on this. So we gave ourselves 30 days. We probably, now we didn't acquire this. Remember our attendee at the Closers Formula, Mike, he closed this. I would hope that he set the expectation that our expectation is to get it done in 30 days, but we will communicate about if we can get it done in time. And Daniel says, does your disposition process solely rely on InvestorLift? Well, welcome to the InvestorLift webinar. Yeah, I believe I'm bound by contractual obligation to say yes. But no, it doesn't. It's a tool just like anything else. That's like saying, does our ability to comp property solely rely on PropStream or Privy? No, I mean, there's always things like Zillow and Redfin and tax assessed value and all kinds of things that you can do. You can dispo, like we will still post deals on Facebook groups. Okay. You can still dispo deals through contacting local realtors. There's a lot of different things that you can do. This is a tool. It maximizes your ability to dispo and make you more efficient. But no, we are not solely bound by this is the only way we, and also let's be realistic. InvestorLift, the goal here is that it enables you to create relationships with buyers. So like Steve at this point has buyers in certain cities. Like I watched him dispo the shit out of a deal in Beeville, Texas. Okay. If he gets another deal in Beeville, Texas, by God, he's not going to InvestorLift first. He's going to call up that dude and be like, hey, you want to buy 2 more? Right.
Actually called them on 2 other deals in Beeville that we've gotten, man. So yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's the thing. It's a tool for dispositions, but it's not like you are solely reliant on it. It helps you build up everything that you've got going on. And then you also want to continue to push out deals inside of InvestorLift to build up your own buyers list, to understand where they're buying. Listen, somebody might not have been buying in Beeville, Texas, during the Closers Olympics, but now they've sold 3 flips and they're dying to get their next one. So Conway says it's because the front door and back door are lined up so you can shoot a shotgun through the front and straight out the back. Is that the real reason?
Is that really it? Did he just Google it? Does he know that? That's crazy.
Yep.
That is hilarious.
Another note that somebody said about if InvestorLift is the sole thing in your dispo process, there's other tools like you're going to need dialers, you're going to need a CRM to manage data, that type of stuff. InvestorLift streamlines as much as possible and just gives you, it's a time machine. It collapses the time down. But what a lot of you guys, as you're just starting your wholesale journey, you guys aren't ready for InvestorLift. This is what people who are having active businesses already are using. Like the minimum pricing is like $5,700. We know that's cost prohibitive and it's designed that way. So that way we have people who we know are going to be successful on it. But what we recommend is that's why you have people like RJ in your corner who are one of our cartel bosses. You can just go in JV with him. And he has access to everything, all the tools, systems, processes, and you can focus on your acquisitions. Then you can start building consistency, and then you'll be ready to start building your dispo processes.
So Michael says, will you do a 7 to 14 day inspection? No, we do an inspection period the entire length of the contract. Unless they bring that up as an objection, that is what we do. I want to share, someone asked about God mode, so I want to show that. What's interesting here is, we've got our 45th Street address popped in here on God mode. And as you can see, it pops open all these properties, but it shows 82 properties, average purchase price $265. Now, what I love about this information is because I basically just got told, and Jonathan in the chat over here is saying like, if I were to drive over there right now, that there is a 0% chance that I'm coming out alive. I mean, this is the worst place in America. I'm guaranteed getting shot, at least getting mugged. And this says the average purchase price is $265 and the average sell price of properties is $105. Average hold time 179 days. So the other thing that we see is what buyers have been buying in here. So SFR3, a hedge fund. Everybody should know about SFR3. If you don't know about SFR3, let me just go ahead and give you like a clue. Buy.sfr3.com. Just plug in the address and it'll tell you if they buy there or not. Okay. So there you go. There's your free gift for the day. Where was I? Okay. So SFR3, obviously they bought a lot in here. Looks like this is probably another institutional buyer of some sort, Shake and Bake LLC. Love that. A lot of times when you get into God mode, what you have to do is because LLCs are buying this, is you have to reverse engineer and try to find the owner of the LLC. So that can be cumbersome. This is why I especially don't like doing it on this type of format live. I did it with Robert Winsley after the Closures Olympics, and we were live for 4.5 hours trying to find a buyer. It can be brutal. See almost all of these, but what this is telling us is, so Jeremy McClendon, right here, bought a property. So what did he buy? 19,000, sold it for, looks like he probably just wholesaled it. There's another one bought for 54,000, sold for 129, bought for 38, sold for 160. What this does to me is it shows us as well is that properties are selling in the mid 100s, right? Which is getting us to where our after repair value is, which makes me feel good because one of Bo's like kind of negative feedback is I don't know if the after repair value is accurate or not. So I'm liking being able to see in here because remember 4 of these 5 properties have been fixed up. Now Taylor said he didn't believe that they had been fixed up as much as the seller had told us. But let's see here. See if we can find someone on God mode to call. McKinley, 65 to 105.
The RJ, this is why we brought Steven here. Last week, we went live with another community. And Steve, 2 phone calls, sold the deal the first phone call, and then sold it for more money in the second call.
So what do you think, Steve? What do you think I should do?
I would say God mode. If you go God mode and zoom in a little bit, you can really, because like maybe there's some spillover in other areas, you know what I mean? That aren't necessarily like that area, but find someone with tangible proof that they bought. You know, in that small area that everybody's talking about. Yeah, they're reaching out. Even I saw on down there Grace Land Development. Like at this point, with some of the feedback that I'm hearing, maybe if it is being revitalized, like those are your guys. You know what I mean? It's worth a shot, right? Because they are like a land development type deal.
So when we zoom in, like you said, Red Door Properties, was there another Red Door Properties? No.
That's Red Door.
Paul has a really good question. He said, is it okay to send a deal to cash buyers without any pictures, but know the general condition of the house? I would never do that. Never, ever. And the reason is this is marketing and sales. You have to hook their attention. And when these buyers are looking at it, if there's no photos on it, they're significantly more likely to discount it. In fact, we ran a study on properties on InvestorLift. And the study ranged from properties that had no photos, which really you shouldn't do, to properties that had photos, properties that had bad photos versus good photos, and then properties that didn't have a video walkthrough versus properties that did have a video walkthrough. And the 2 biggest changes were having good photos and having a video walkthrough. And in this day and age, there's something we recommend. It's called Home Jab. And what they do is like for $279, they get a professional photographer out to the property. They go and take 30 photos that are really high quality, and high quality photos with a crappy property just gets the full view of what's going on. And in that price, they do a video walkthrough as well of the property. And that to investors is like gold. They love it. And the other thing you've got to understand on InvestorLift is when you're sending a deal out, it comes with a photo on it, on the SMS and the email, and that's going to be That's going to be a huge part of the hook on whether or not people are interested or not. So always, you just want photos. It increases assignment fees massively.
Absolutely. And then another big thing with that, making sure you have your photos and all your information together. A lot of times, like if you don't have a lot of photos, they'll ask tons of questions about the condition. And even if you know generally, it's a lot easier to be like, hey, look, you can see the condition of the property, right? So you kind of eliminate certain objections that may come up ahead of time when you have the proper photos and expectations as far as that goes. And then, you know, you have your data on the deals, right? So like, for example, it's hard when you JV too, because sometimes you know the JV person doesn't get like all the data you need, but the leases, right? They talked about the leases. If you're able to rattle that stuff off, like that eliminates the whole like, oh, well, let me go run numbers, let me go check. I mean, you're still gonna have a lot of people that want to do that, but for the people that are just like, I need the info, and once I get it, I'm good. Then I mean, your process is a lot quicker when you do it like that. Have all the information, pictures, everything.
So BPO photo flow is another one. They're super cheap. They basically do inspection level photos. So that's another one that you can do. Home Jab is a good one. The other thing is always ask the seller. That's the job of the acquisitions manager. As soon as the acquisitions manager is finishing getting the signed contract, immediately say, hey, do you have some photos that you can send over to me? We actually have a checklist that we will send to the seller, specifically if it's vacant or owner occupied. Like, hey, can you get photos for us? If it's tenant occupied, we want the tenant's information. We ask the tenant to send that. A lot of times we get pictures just from the seller. We don't even have to go do all these things. And then another way, if like you're in an area where Home Jab or BPO Photo Flow will not be able to go out for you, hire a local handyman to do it. Instead of hiring a photographer or something like that, a handyman will go out and do it for like $50. And the caveat to him is that you will recommend his services or her services to your buyers. And say, hey, you know, I'm always dealing with investors. They're always looking for great handymen. So those are a couple of things that we do there. Now, Steve, on this God mode and selling it through God mode like this. So would you recommend for me right now in the current flow that we are to try to do that? Because this is not a single property. Should we go pick a single property to try to do that with on God mode?
Yeah, absolutely. What I was actually going to ask you to see if you think it may be worth, just for like shits and giggles on this one, is throwing the one outlier property, the one everybody's kind of like talking crap about, throwing it into SFR3 since they bought it to see if they will. You know what I'm saying? Then you can kind of piece together the other ones. Like if you get the guy to bite on the other four, you know, on the off chance that SFR3 will buy it, maybe you can generate something off of that too.
I'm assuming that my boys already put all of these in the SFR3.
Got it. Okay.
I mean, let me just check real quick.
Or even in the God mode where if you see like one LLC and then multiple properties underneath it, it shows that they buy multiple properties in that area. So they may be your, you know what I mean? That might be another thing.
But what I was saying is I mean, it ain't like this is the only property I have to dispo.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, absolutely.
I got a property in Chicago.
Let's go. I love it.
Let's see what we got. Well, let's share something.
Yeah, but this format that is a little timing, and it takes a lot of time to do that. You know what I mean?
So we got some requests. The problem with this one is the numbers look amazing on this. It's a duplex. We're asking 55,000. I believe the ARV that they set on this. Where did they set it? 280.
Ooh.
But the problem is it needs a lot of work. So let's see what we got here. That is some funky siding going on there. It's like the siding is growing around the window.
You know what's up with that missing meter?
So what?
There's 2 meters, but there's a third one. I think that bigger one usually means like general, like like Common Electric. So do you know anything about that or no?
I do not know.
That'd be
I don't
interesting.
know anything about this deal. I know Garrett was talking about. Look at that. That is gnarly.
There you go.
Yeah, buddy. Oh yeah.
Reminds me, I had a fire damage property I walked the buyer through today. As soon as we opened there's squatters obviously in it. As soon as we opened the door, pipe bursts, dude.
No way.
Everywhere.
Oh, look at this.
Woo.
Yeah.
Probably answers your question.
$10 if you stick your finger in there.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right, let's see what we got here.
I mean, that seems cheap enough, even with issues. You know what I mean? At 55.
Mac, look at this. 26,000 buyer score, viewed 89 images and spent 16 minutes. Yeah.
Looks like you also got that 63,000 real close by on the neighboring buyers too.
Yep.
Essentially, if all else fails. Right there.
Right there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hello?
Hi, is Mac there?
Yeah, speaking.
Hey, Mac, this is RJ Bates from Titanium Investments. How are you today?
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good. Hey, saw you requested some information about our property that we're looking to wholesale over on South Green Street there in Chicago. Just wanted to give you a shout and see if you had any questions about it.
I can't remember the address. Which one was that again?
That's 6822 South Green Street in Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
That's the duplex. We were asking 55,000.
Yeah, I'm evaluating the photos and stuff like that now. So crunching the numbers, trying to figure some stuff out.
I got you. Well, I'd love to go into the weekend by making a deal. Because I got a trip that I'm going on with my son to Odessa, Texas. So I'm trying to get this thing done. So what are you looking at? You said you're crunching some numbers. What are you thinking?
Yeah, well, actually, I'm waiting to speak to my GC to find out what the numbers will look like. Because he said that it's going to be kind of rough. Just the rehab costs are going to be a little aggressive. So
I agree.
yeah, I need to figure out how aggressive, so that way I can, make sure it's really worth my time. To be honest with you.
Did you agree with the after repair value that we had on there?
We did see it there. It seemed pretty. It seemed like in the right ballpark. So, yeah, the 280.
Yep.
Yeah, it seemed like it's in the right ballpark. So, but we're just really trying to figure out what's going on with materials and labor and stuff like that. Because those are the two most expensive things right now, for rehabbing and stuff. So, we're just trying to work that out.
I got you. When do you think he's going to be able to get back to you?
Today for sure. Yeah, we're gonna talk today for sure. So, I'm actually in the office now. Just got back in the office, so I'll be here for a few hours, and I'm gonna work some stuff out and figure out what I'm gonna do.
Gotcha. Well, Mac, I want to sell this to you, my man. I mean, you sound like you're my buyer. I don't really want to sit here and bash the phones all day, calling everybody in Chicago to try to sell this, but I will if I have to. So, I mean, when do you think you're gonna be able to give me a call back and let me know that 55 is good?
Yeah, give me a few hours. To the end of the business day at least. It's like 3:40 out here, 3:49 or something like that. So, yeah, just give me a little time to figure it out so we can, get a good idea of what's going on.
I got you. Yeah, give me a shot back. Do you want my phone number?
Yeah, do me a favor. Just shoot me a text. You can text me on this number, and I'll lock you in.
Okay, I'll text you from my cell phone number right now.
All right, wonderful, great, thank you.
Thank you, Mac. Bye-bye.
All right, take care, bye.
Love the urgency you put on that guy, man. There you go.
Yeah, well, that one, I mean, he sounds like he's right there. Sounds to me like if it were up to him, he would just make the decision. He just wanted to verify that, hey, his contractor isn't going to poke him in the eyeball with a $200,000 rehab, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think that speaks a lot to, I mean, as far as I know, I don't know if he's actually walked the property, but I mean, he's just doing this off of pictures. Like, hey, contractor, here's some photos. Like, what do you think? You know what I mean? So
He is.
serious enough to do that, you know?
Yeah. All right. I'm shooting him a text real quick. And also, just on a side note, to everyone that's paying attention, I firmly believe in kind of the pivot that I just made there. I think sometimes we can get in a flow of things and get lost in the weeds where it's like, hey, I'm going to dispo this 5-property portfolio in Louisville, Kentucky. Well, I might have already disposed 4 of the 5 to max. And so then I call Bo, I call the next guy, and I keep working it. And then it's like, well, do we think someone is going to make a decision at 4 p.m. today on a 5-property portfolio? Probably not, but we know we're getting an offer on Monday on at least 4 of them. And he knows what our price point is. And he's not really objecting to it. So instead of continuing working down that path, I make a pivot and I say, hey, let's go work on something else. This is Muhammad's deal. Muhammad, he says, that's my deal, RJ. So Muhammad also came to the closer's formula and locked this one up. Muhammad, this would be your first deal as well. And so this would be a big moment for Muhammad as well. So, you know, making that small little pivot, placing that phone call right there, we could have that deal sold by the end of the afternoon and still have the Louisville portfolio sold on Monday, right? And I think this is important in acquisitions too. Like, hey, you could be going down your called no answers, and it's like, dude, let's do some follow-ups on people you have talked to. Like, change up the rhythm a little bit and get yourself kind of excited. Like, I was excited to place that call because it's like I get to talk about a new one, like new refreshed numbers. So, all right, let's see who else we got on this one. You said, let's share our screen here and let's show what you were talking about. So what you notice here is that there is this house for 63,000. Okay, so 6741 South Green Street. Now, I'm curious, does that look the same as ours? So what are your thoughts about this right here? So this is our property. Okay. And then that's the subject property that you notice is sold for 63.
Looks a tad different. I mean, that one, to be honest, looks a little bit, I mean, if that's brick, right?
That's brick. That's
Yeah,
brick.
yeah, then it's a little bit different as far as that goes, but it's still, I mean, are those two connected? Like, I don't know, because I know houses are different in different places.
There's a
Now,
gap.
separation. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we don't know if that's a duplex or not.
I mean, we could pull it up and actually look at it.
For sure.
So this is definitely a duplex.
Got it.
He does no, there's a gap. So it's not a row house. So this is a duplex, same size as ours.
Got it.
And it got purchased. So explain to them, what is this? Where did that number 63,000 come from?
So that's the number that it got purchased for on InvestorLift from another investor.
So someone else bought it, and then it's contingent right now at 120. Did they even do anything to it? Dude, they didn't even do anything. They bought this for 67. I mean, maybe.
I still don't think so.
I don't think they did anything to this. I think they just bought it and turned around and listed it.
Right. Yeah, it's the brick thing kind of changes things a bit, or at least be prepared for that objection. You know what I mean? If you're pitching it
Right.
right, did you say that? Yeah.
So in this scenario right here, how do I know who bought that?
So to be 100% transparent on this one, normally what I do is I just pop it into PropStream to find that out. So maybe Liam can help. I don't know because this one is all it's all neighboring buyers, right? So I think it goes into their Artemis mode. Is that correct? That's typically how that works.
Liam, do we know how to find who bought this?
Yeah, just copy that and paste that into God mode.
Oh, got it. There you go.
And is God mode the lowest mode of InvestorLift that you can buy for the
God mode, it's kind of confusing in how it's named, right? We have God mode and Artemis mode. Those come with all the plans. The difference is how many buyers are going to show up, right? So let's say you are on the regular Pro plan. Pro plan doesn't come with any buyers installed on the account. So when you plug that address into God mode, like right now you're on Cartel, and if you scroll down, right, so you just put in the address, enter, and then hit the apply search. When you scroll down, there's all these buyers with the phone numbers, emails, everything already skip traced.
right?
These buyers will show up, but then you just have to skip trace them yourself and then use your paid credits to do that. On your plan, it just comes already built in. So God mode is on all accounts, all plans. Same with
Gotcha.
Artemis mode, all accounts, all plans.
Gotcha.
Well, you know,
Great.
man, if it's still pending, like they said it was pending, right?
Yes.
So we may not even have a sale on it to be able to tell who did it. So it's probably sold on InvestorLift, but it hasn't closed yet. Like assignment's good, everything's good, just hadn't closed yet. So that may be the case on this one. So we may not be able to know.
Well,
But
we're just gonna call the realtor.
hey, there you go. Yeah, that works too. Another thing, I bet if you call the like after you wrap up with your Artemis mode, if you go to their Artemis mode, those people just missed out on a deal. You know what I mean? Hey, you missed out on one. I've got one right down the corner. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, that's a really good idea. I like that.
Yeah, because I mean they all missed out and they know it too. So they're probably going to act a little bit quicker and you can put more urgency because they're used to that feeling and they just got burned by not being urgent enough on it. So
Hello, and thank you for calling Choice Realty Group Incorporated. At any time during this message, you may say the name of the person you.
Oh, come on. Fucking realtors, man.
never answer.
Just terrible. All right, I have questions in the description. It says sold as is. Yeah, definitely a hotel. 5,700 and you still don't get everything. That is right, Sean. That is exactly what we just told you. So the thing about this is I love it. Everyone wants to complain about the cost of InvestorLift. There's never been a tool like an InvestorLift. So that's why the price point is where it is because nothing can compete with it. That's why I love it. I mean, it's $3,000 a month for us. A month. That's $5,700 a year. So
You're on the higher plan now. You're on the feed. It's even more for you a month.
yeah, I
Yeah,
got
cartel mode.
I got in years before. I made sure I grandfathered myself in. Me and Robert, we shook on blood that he wouldn't poke me in the eyeball anymore. But listen, at the end of the day, it makes us so much money. I posted a deal or a video on YouTube where it was watch me make $5,000 in 5 minutes. Okay. 5-minute acquisition. And then I showed our posting on InvestorLift. And then I showed the settlement statement. And someone said, yeah, but how much did your InvestorLift cost you? You got to add that into it. And I said, well, let's just assume it was a really bad month for us. So we sold 30 deals. It cost me $3,000. So add $100 to it. Who here wouldn't spend $100 to dispo a deal? Hell, most of you will spend 50% of your deal to dispo it. In fact, majority of you will actually spend 50% of your deal to dispo it with me. So I can use the tool that you don't want to pay for. So how much does it really cost you to not have it?
Absolutely. No, for sure. And then, I mean, like I
Sean actually brings up a good point. No offense, but you haven't made anything on this call yet.
Bro, that dude out of here. I don't know who this guy is, but he's gone. Like, nah, dude. What are you
But
talking
to answer
about,
the
Sean?
question fairly, right? The tool's not magic. There's things that can be done to this deal to make it better. First, there weren't any photos of the interior of the property. That's going to be one big thing. Second, the deal was only posted just a little bit before we went live. So that means the marketing hasn't had its time to get seeded through everybody's emails and get them to come through and click through. Third, we didn't do any SMS blasting either, which has a super high conversion rate. So there's different things that you can do. The tool is not magic. You have to work it. There's things that can be done on this one to make it better. So for example, last week, had a lot more prep time for the deal, had it ready to go live, and sold it in the first call and then sold it again on the second call for even more money. I'll send you the recording of that too.
Yeah.
Also, I'm just going to point out there that if you think that because we've been doing this for an hour and a half and I haven't sold a deal yet, that is somewhat of a leg to stand on about InvestorLift or my ability to sell deals, it's not. This is what we do all day, every day. And it takes time. I mean, you literally just heard a buyer say, I'm getting my numbers from my contractor. I'm going to contact you back before the end of the day. Another buyer that said, hey, I'm going to run my numbers over the weekend because it's Friday at 4 p.m. I'm going to get back to you and make an offer on 4 properties. These conversations are quickly happening. Whereas in previous, before InvestorLift, you couldn't do this in just any market in the United States. You had to build individual buyers lists and put them out on Facebook lists or JV the deal. Jamie LeBlanc, y'all got one of mine assigned yesterday. Absolutely. We did.
And I think one of the big things a lot of people are missing too is like we're so used to seeing like the seller content and the seller calls where the objection is like, I'm closing them right now. I'm getting this deal done. We're gonna ink to paper. But that's not really how it is day to day in dispo all the time, right? Like RJ said earlier, InvestorLift is killer because you start to build relationships. You know what I mean? And part of that is saying, okay, most people are going to want to see the property. Most good buyers want to walk the property, take a look at it. It's few and far between where you get those guys that'll do it sight unseen. They exist, and most of the people that I've sold sight unseen to, I got from InvestorLift. And I mean, like you just said, we've got somebody. Oh, I'm running my numbers. Oh, I want 4 of the 5. So RJ practically sold 4 out of the 5. We're just trying to figure out how to make that 5th one work for the seller. You know what I mean? And then we got that guy working at 55 to see if we can get that. That's actually good, like activities. And what he did is like with the pivot, that's something that we do every day. Like we'll make like 10 calls. Oh, hey, I'm gonna run my numbers. I'm gonna take a look at it. I like the price, but I need an XYZ. We set up the appointments. They go, the next day, later that day to go take a look at it. And then I move on to the next to go to the next one to set that same precedent. If I can sell it immediately, we do that. But more often than not, especially as you're building these relationships, you're gonna get these people that want to look at the property, and that's still like,
well, it's like you
that's
said,
a win on
Steve,
dispo.
building relationships. I mean, it's like right here, Jamie. We sold one of his yesterday. Justin sold one of JW's in less than an hour. Casey Oval got one of mine signed yesterday. These are all deals that we have sold utilizing InvestorLift, doing exactly what I'm doing here. But you know what didn't happen is it wasn't one call closes. Those are few and far between. And to be quite frank, even what you did at Closures Olympics is not really what you want to do. That is because you were doing it in the Closures Olympics. The reality of it is like you don't want to be on the phone with your buyer and high pressure selling them. I put applied pressure to Mac there about this Chicago deal. Like, hey, this is what's going on. We're going in the weekend. I want to get it sold. I don't want to keep calling people. I'm being real. And he's saying, I'm being real. I'm running my numbers and I got to talk to my GC and then I will get back to you by the end of the day. That was a real conversation between 2 people. And that's ideally where I want my team living, is having those types of conversations, putting a check mark and saying, let's move on to the next one. So that being said, Where's the Q? There it is. Does the buyer send the EMD to the same closing company that has the real estate purchase agreement? So that is going to be different state to state. Okay. Majority of time in a title state where you're using a title company, then yes, the earnest money would be sent to that title company. But in places, attorney states, a lot of times where our attorney, they will be sending it to, or their attorney, they would not send it to, they would sell it to the seller attorney or vice versa. It depends. So you kind of have to know that going into it. But most of the time, yes, it's going to go to the title company. All right, let me, so I like where we're sitting with Louisville. I like where we're sitting with, Chicago. Let me see what else I got here. I'm looking at my InvestorLift, and two of the ones I was thinking about we've already sold. So I actually really love the fact that InvestorLift also continues to add features that are made available for all the different levels. Like when y'all added Artemis mode, that was a game changer for us because, to be honest with you, we did have, even with the power of InvestorLift, we still had issues with dispo and deals. The Artemis mode was a huge increase. When did that get added? Like a year ago or less?
It was less than a year ago. And in the last half of 2023, there was kind of a shift in internal culture. We brought in some more corporate people, and the idea started to shift away from let's make these banger updates that have these crazy new features that's coming out, and let's try and solidify what we already have. And we just didn't like it. So we ended up getting rid of some people that we'd hired and brought on, and we're getting back this culture of getting these new features that are going to be really fucking cool. So on that vein, something that's going to be coming out is right now, what we're hearing from all of our top people is that the biggest problem they're having is other wholesalers coming, calling on their deals and trying to daisy chain the deals. So Robert, myself, John, some others on the leadership team, we sat down, we brainstormed this stupidly cool system that will make it so that there will never, ever be a reason for somebody to try and come in JV again. And I can't give you more details on it, but it's going to be Artemis mode level cool. And so that way it'll completely delete this idea of people coming in to try and daisy chain or dispo your deals for you.
That's awesome.
Can't wait for that one, man.
All right. So what I'm thinking is I think I like where we're sitting on Chicago. I think Mac's going to call back. So I'm going to go back to Louisville and see if I can get some more interest there.
Now, RJ's getting some more phone numbers ready to dial here. Tom has a good question. What's the hardest state to work in your experience? Just had a deal in New York and paperwork was crazy. My experience with the toughest deals, New York, yeah. Non-disclosure states, New York's always a pain. Illinois is a pain. New Jersey's a pain. Yep.
Yeah,
Texas, sadly, can be a pain.
Yeah, it can. Non-disclosure states are tougher. It's when I get something in like Florida or something, like, man, this is almost easy mode compared because most of the stuff that we do is in Texas. I'm like,
Yep.
oh, I know what you bought the property for. Like, this is easy.
Well, I think in their case, they're saying, what's the hardest state to work in your experience? And then they talk about paperwork. When I say New York, New Jersey, I'm referring to the fact that they're attorney states and how difficult that is.
Yeah.
Christoph says, do you use InvestorLift to send the assignment contract? No. That's going to be done through DocuSign or whatever your email signing service is going to be.
Iowa is pretty tricky too because of the abstract on top of the attorney.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up.
Hey, David, this is RJ Bates from Titanium Investments. Looks like you were taking a look at my 5-property portfolio package there in Louisville. Just wanted to see if I could answer any questions that you have. If you could give me a call back at 817-710-8689. Thank you.
You and your team typically kind of like call, leave a voicemail, and then kind of move on to the next, or do you do any because like acquisition tricks, so to speak, on those, like where you text them and then call them, or
So I'm not big on texting after the first call.
got it?
So I feel like that could be viewed as like disrespectful. I always use the example of imagine if they were using the restroom. You know, you leave them a voicemail, you already notified them who you are. You don't want to start it off
The call has been forwarded to voicemail.
with
The person you're trying to reach.
being like annoying. You know, that's why
Yep.
on acquisitions, you know, a lot of times people are like double dial, triple dial, and I'm like, man, what a like bad way to potentially start the conversation. When they're like, what? I'm taking a shit over here. Like, what do you want? I'll call you back. And it's like, whoa, sorry. You know, it's like, dude, it's life happens.
Hard to recover from that.
Yeah. All right.
Tom's asking, how about text first, and then once someone answers, try to call one time immediately. I think it's a lot of time just texting. You know what I mean?
I'm currently unavailable.
I'd rather just get the call out of the way instead of texting everybody and then waiting for a response, you know?
Paul says, does it matter if cash buyers use hard money lender or cash and how long it affects closing? No, as long as they get the EMD by the timeline that you want them to, which is generally same day or next day. As long as they can get that EMD in there, then they're on your timeline now.
Yeah.
They're liable to lose that.
Absolutely. And then if you could establish a relationship with a couple of hard money lenders in town too. Some are harder than others. If they're using a harder one, and for example, they've got to get a survey or an appraisal and it falls through because of that, always have a backup that you can suggest, because you're also trying to work on the seller's timeline too. So depending on what that looks like, if you have some workarounds, you can definitely, capitalize on those interactions.
Then Scott said, RJ, I think this is perfect for you to answer, but what is an abstract state? Just explain the title abstract.
So I believe it's like, I don't know the actual definition of it, but the way I asked this one time a couple of years ago when we were doing a deal in Oklahoma, and I believe Oklahoma and Iowa are the only abstract states, but I believe it's like an actual like physical piece of paper that is needed to see the chain of title.
Yeah.
And so that's the holdup with that is if the seller doesn't have the abstract, then
gotta
they actually
rebuild.
have to go create a new one, and then they have to go back and see the entire chain of title.
All the way back to when it was first gifted by the state to whoever it was given to.
Imelda says, I see a monthly pro $479 monthly, but it's billed annually. Can I pay monthly? Liam?
Not on the promo. Nope. Unfortunately, we used to be able to do monthlies, but what we found is that the people who came in on monthly, they weren't very successful just because they didn't have enough deal flow to justify InvestorLift. If you're at a point in your business where spending $5,000 is too big of a risk for you, it just means that you got to get your deal flow up, and then InvestorLift is going to be ready for you. I'd recommend, if you're not at that stage, JV some deals with RJ, get the cash on hand, and then it makes sense, and you can just commit right away. And since removing it, it has decreased the amount of people who are unsuccessful on the platform by like 98%.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Hey, Scott, you got to run, but thank you for answering all these. Thank you for asking all these good questions. Jamie has another good question as well. Can you go over your process of seeing what buyers are in an area as you have a seller on the phone deciding if you can move or not before locking it up? That's good. So if you're on the phone with the seller, what are you doing to see if there's buyers in the area? Just God mode.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Jamie. Yes, that's a great idea. All right. So let me share my screen.
But if you guys are investors, it's free to sign up to the platform to be a buyer.
All right. So let's take our Kentucky address here. What I would do here is I'm on the phone, I'm on with this seller, and say, if I don't know how many buyers I have in Louisville, Kentucky, which obviously we know Louisville, Kentucky is a big market, but say it's in a city that I'm brand new to, I don't know how many buyers I have. I always say the first thing I do is I go to the buyers tab, open up the filters, go to the geotags, type in the city. Okay, Louisville, Kentucky, filter the buyers. And then it shows me I have 14,817 buyers. Now, say that is a number that's below like 1,000. The thing that you need to do is go to Louisville, Kentucky County. That's Jefferson County. Okay. Go back. I've got so many freaking tabs open. It's not even funny. You then go to the county, because a lot of times you're going to have a lot more buyers in the county than just the city. And this has made a huge difference for us. So then you have 18,000 in the county. So for example, the other day I typed in a city and I had like 100 buyers. And so it led me to potentially like want to walk away from the deal. It's like, hey, we can't help you. But then I typed in the county and we had 18,000 buyers. And so then because of that, we closed on the deal and then we actually sold the deal. But if we hadn't had this ability to do this, and if this is not one of the first steps in the acquisitions process, then we're probably not closing on that. If anybody ever wants to JV a deal, send an email with all of the details. Make sure it's a property you have under contract to jv@titanium.investments. There's no.
What's that link?
What's that?
What was that link? I'll put it in the chat.
jv@titanium.investments. Tom says,
that's who you email.
I think we're in pro mode, but I'm seeing low buyer results on some properties in Missouri. Is that normal? So what do you mean by low buyer results? Steve, do you have any like comments on like when you have a deal and maybe there's not a lot of buyers?
So, well, for me, it
He's
depends.
saying in God mode. He doesn't have a lot of buyers in God mode.
Yeah, that's, to be honest, that's probably going to be a tougher deal to sell if you don't have a lot of stuff in God mode. That means there's not a lot of traction, not a lot of things really going on in that market for the most part.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You just got to think of a population, a certain percent of them are investors. So if you're in a spot that's in the middle of nowhere with less population, there's just going to be less buyers. You can always expand your range so that you're looking at like a larger sale date, these different things you can do to try and make your filter bigger and wider and see if there's people doing that. But if you're in an area and there's just no buyers turning up, realistically, what that means is there's just not a lot of buyers there, and it's probably worth your effort to find a market where buyers are. Like the way I like to describe it is that if you are a hot dog salesman and you have a hot dog stand and you want to sell the most hot dogs, you got to be outside of a bar at midnight when everybody's coming out. A hungry crowd is what you're looking for. So if you find you know where your buyers are out the gates and you know you can sell it, then as you're acquiring them, they're going to be moved just like that. Super easy. That's the idea you want to go for.
I will also say on doing deals in rural locations, one thing that I've really started to notice is that if it's in a location that is in a state with a major metro city, and then you're in a rural location, that is going to be a lot harder to move than if you're just in a state that doesn't have a large metro city to it. So case in point, like Montana, it has Butte, it has Helena, it has Billings, but they're not large metro cities. And a lot of the investors, because there still are investors in Montana, they buy in a very large radius in Montana because that's just what they have to do to be able to support themselves. But another example of that would be like in Illinois, if you're somewhat close to Chicago, but you're a little bit rural outside of it, maybe like an hour or so, a lot of the buyers in Chicago, they don't go out there because they can get good deals in Chicago. So when we're talking about, struggling to find buyers, make sure if you're going to lock up a deal in a somewhat rural location, just make sure that's the tendency for what the buyers are expecting. Because otherwise they're just going to cling to the fact that I could go buy a deal in the major metro city. Why would I go out there? All right.
And a lot of times in the rural areas, I've also found that if you do find good buyers out there, they kind of play by their own rules. You know what I mean? Like any type of formula that you have or any type of thing. I mean, sometimes that's out the window. Like you can, get a good deal in, Chicago. That's a good deal in Chicago based on what they buy out there. But if you're, hours away in a rural area, some of those investors are just like, I'm buying it for half of that. Or, you know what I mean? They kind of play by their own rules out there. So it's something you got to learn.
They'll bully you.
Yeah.
They know. Well, they actually take the stance of what we should be taking the stance of when we're doing acquisitions, which is I'm the buyer. I'm the guy. What do you mean? You need me a lot more than I need your property. Right. And yeah, that does happen a lot. Jonathan says, when wholesaling nationwide, sight unseen, do you have to be physically present at the title company? No. Especially if you're doing an assignment, because you've assigned your rights to the contract to that end buyer. So at that point in time, they are going to go sign the closing documents, wire the money, and then you're just going to receive your fee. So you don't even have to be involved in the closing whatsoever outside of the transaction coordination part of it. Like you need to make sure it's still happening. That's the vitally important part of that. Liam, is there anything else that you want to cover over the system itself?
I don't think so. I don't know if we're going to be getting any of these sold in the next, 20, 30 minutes here.
I don't think so. I think at this point, I'm going to just wait on those. I mean, to be honest with you, I feel pretty decent about Mac on the Chicago deal. I think he's going to come back and probably be our buyer on that one.
Those are good touches.
And then the other one, I mean, they're not calling us back. And I honestly need to see what they're going to come back with, because if that's the case, then we're just going to redo our whole marketing to selling that 20th Street in the mid 20s, like Bo said. So I think I'm kind of in a place where I feel pretty decent about saying, hey, let's just hold pattern. and I'll follow up with Mac via text message and see if we can get that Chicago deal sold. Muhammad, I hope it gets sold for you today.
Nice. Well, there we go. I'm pretty happy with this. We got a lot of good questions answered. Anybody, just before we dip out, do you have any final questions? Do you have any idea, anything you want to cover really quick? Otherwise, we can call it.
Oh,
Give
there
a
you go.
couple seconds.
When email blasting from InvestorLift, how's the deliverability rate? I can tell you what ours is.
Emails
This
are
is-
very unlikely to go into spam. We do
In
a lot of
2024,
practices.
only 6 emails have not been delivered.
And you sent tens of thousands.
We're at 71,000 emails sent.
So there you go.
And then our open rate is 55%. And we have had, so the 6 that didn't were the bounces, and then we had 5 spam reports. So, I mean, it's about as good as you can get.
The sending email, it's from an InvestorLift.com domain. However, it's going to be branded to your company in the sense that it'll say which company it's coming from. So like for RJ, it would say from Titanium Investments.
Yeah. Sean
wants to know, do you have contracts?
Yeah, I do. We don't give them away. They're a part of our comping and underwriting course.
And how do they find the comping and underwriting course? Link?
Is kingclosersformula.com/titanium profits. That is the only place that you can get those contracts.
Boom.
Well, until you join Titanium University, which is rolling out February 22nd, is our full comprehensive A to Z nationwide wholesaling course. Super excited about it. Also, for everyone that showed up, we're going to be doing this. This is not like a one-time thing, okay? We're going to be doing this all the time with InvestorLift. They're a huge part of our business. Liam, thank you so much for taking the time to do this with our community. Steve, dude, you're awesome. I've loved you since the first time I met you at the event in Dallas, which, by the way, hold on. Pause.
Uh-oh.
Justin, get your free ass in there.
Is that first link I put for I don't know if it was working, but there it is right there.
So, Steve, the night that you and I met the first time was also the night that I grabbed this guy, 19-year-old Justin, who's now 22.
22 now.
22. Wow, you've been able to drink for a year. Congratulations. So yeah, I met Steve after I met you. Yeah.
Oh, no shit.
And then Steve goes and he wins the King Closer Dispo.
Wow.
And dude, Justin now in his 3 years, are we at 34? We're at 34 different states he's dispo deals in. So,
Awesome.
and dude, here's the thing. The funny thing about this is like, everyone always thinks because I do these lives like this that I'm doing acquisitions and dispositions all day, but I don't. Like, Justin does it, Garrett does it, AJ does. Like, other guys in the office are the ones that are doing this all day, every day. And that's why you see so many people here in the chat. They're like, Justin sold my deal, Garrett sold my deal. It's not me, it's these guys. They're the ones doing it. All right, buddy. I appreciate it.
My man Jamie in the chat.
Yeah, right. Listen, the thing that I love about it is that there is a tool that exists. When Justin started, we didn't have InvestorLift. And he's been a part of us since the texting days. So literally his first day, we set him down. He had to click the little buttons and send SMS text messages out. And now he's transitioned into, he's doing inbound leads for acquisitions and using InvestorLift for dispositions. And it's such a seamless process for him because he's able to see and know where he has buyers. And so it's like very hand in hand where it's like, okay, so I've got this lead in Montana. I say that because we literally have 2 deals in Montana right now. So the leads came in, and otherwise we would have previously said, no way. But then he says, because I've got buyers on InvestorLift, I can move them. And then he gets a ton of traction and then he inevitably sells them. So yeah, man, cool stuff. But yeah, that was the first time I met you, and you've been awesome to deal with different events that we've been a part of, wholesale and live and different stuff like that. So I appreciate you coming in and being a part of this today.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, Liam, take us home.
All right. Well, everybody, it's been a pleasure having you guys. You guys get the titanium profits if you don't have it. But oh yeah. RJ, we'll be doing this soon. Everybody, the recording will be sent to your email. Love you guys. See you guys